Inside Arsenal's pre-season, Heinz's influence, Gioca's style, and Daumann's composure. As Arsenal's pre-season tour across Singapore and Hong Kong unfolded, one late arrival began turning heads immediately: Victor Gioca's. While he joined the squad midway through the trip, Mikel Arteta had already been planning around him for weeks. Pre-season isn't just about building fitness, it's where tactical identities are shaped. And with the signing of a true number 9 in Gioca's, Arsenal are embracing a subtle but significant shift in style. Gioca's is not your typical link-up striker. He's not there to drop deep or combine with midfield in tight pockets. His threat lies elsewhere, running in behind, stretching defenses, and making those clever diagonal runs between fullbacks and centre-halves. He thrives on verticality and directness, not long balls, necessarily, but sharp passes through the lines. That means Arsenal are adjusting. More forward thrust, more urgency, more risk, and more reward. Arteta and his staff began laying the groundwork for this shift as early as July, tweaking their build-up patterns and off-ball movement during the first sessions at London Coney. It's a process that won't click overnight. That was clear in the 3-2 loss to Spurs at the end of the Asia Tour. Moments of disjointedness showed that Arsenal are very much a work in progress. Still, Arteta is convinced that the direction is right. And it's not just about Gioca's. It's about elevating the entire system around him. La Manga, quiet preparation, real focus. Before the commercial demands of Asia took over, Arsenal's squad had already spent a crucial week together at La Manga Club in Murcia, Spain. Far from the media spotlight, it was a chance for Arteta and his staff to focus purely on football. No distractions, no press obligations, just tactical and physical work. The camp was built around intensity and clarity, a schedule strategically mapped out in collaboration with the club's performance team. From voluntary sessions at London Coney to the structured environment of La Manga, the idea was simple: prepare the squad not just physically, but mentally, for a new tactical phase. Youth, leadership, and the Gioca's effect. When Arsenal boarded their flight to Singapore on July 19th, they brought a strong and balanced squad of 30 players. New signings Martin Zubimendi, Kepa Arrizabalaga, and Christian Nørgaard were all present. So were some of the club's brightest young prospects, including 15-year-olds Max Daumann and Marley Salmon, who impressed with maturity well beyond their years. Daumann in particular earned quiet praise from the senior staff, showing composure under pressure and a natural understanding of space, not bad for someone barely old enough to drive. Meanwhile, back in London, Sporting Director Andrea Berta and Executive VP Tim Lewis stayed behind to finalize deals for Gioca's and Christian Mosquera. Both were signed in time to join the tour before its conclusion, lifting Arsenal's summer signings to 6, alongside Noni Madueke, who had joined earlier but was granted post-Club World Cup rest. Behind the curtain, the Berta blueprint. Internally, there's growing admiration for Berta's relentless work ethic and strategic clarity. Every move this summer has been part of a wider vision, executed with discipline, communication, and impeccable timing. The club's leadership is said to be delighted with how the window has gone so far, not just in terms of targets landed, but the cohesion of the overall plan. This pre-season wasn't about hype. It wasn't about flashy moments or crowd-pleasing slogans. It was about building something real, brick by brick, day by day. From the quiet groundwork in Spain to the tactical experiments in Asia, and with Gioca's now in the mix, Arsenal's evolution is unmistakable. And if Arteta and Berta get it right, this pre-season might be remembered not just as preparation, but as the moment Arsenal took the next step. The ripple effects, evolving roles and internal competition. As Arsenal reshape their tactical identity to accommodate Gioca's, the ripple effects are already being felt across the squad. Training sessions have intensified, not just in pace, but in positional demand. Players are being asked to adjust how they move, when they pass, and how quickly they transition between phases. One of the clearest shifts is in the attacking midfield and wide areas, where players like Martin Degaard, Bukayo Saka, and Gabriel Martinelli are adapting to complement Gioca's aggressive off-ball movement. Arteta is now emphasizing quicker service, sharper decision-making, and vertical progression, with less emphasis on recycling possession in deeper zones. Internally, there's been a noticeable rise in performance levels. Trossard and Madueke have both stepped up during training games, and there's growing optimism that the added competition, along with tactical clarity, is raising standards across the board. Players have been briefed that this season will require more flexibility than ever. Arteta doesn't want a rigid system. He wants players who can adapt within matches and across competitions. Gyökeres isn't just changing how Arsenal play, he's changing how the squad thinks. Christian Mosquera, the silent reinforcement. While Gyökeres' arrival grabbed headlines, those close to the coaching staff suggest the signing of Christian Mosquera may prove just as important. At just 20 years old, Mosquera is physically mature, technically sound, and tactically intelligent, a centre-back who can also play comfortably in a back three or as a full-back when needed. During his early sessions, Mosquera has impressed with his anticipation and calmness under pressure, two qualities Arteta values highly. His presence also brings immediate depth and allows Arsenal to rotate or potentially part ways with players like Jakub Kiwior, who now faces increased competition for minutes. Heinz's influence behind the scenes. One of the more intriguing developments this summer has been the growing influence of Gabriel Heinz, who joined the backroom staff in an unofficial advisory capacity. The former Argentina international and close confidant of Arteta has been working specifically with the defenders and wide players, helping to instill a more aggressive, front-foot mentality in duels and transitions. Sources at the club say Heinz's presence has already had a noticeable effect on the training pitch, particularly among the younger players. His no-nonsense style and demand for intensity have aligned perfectly with Arteta's high standards. The bigger picture, Arsenal's quiet revolution. This pre-season hasn't been defined by one flashy signing or viral moment. It's been about building something more sustainable. Arteta and Berta aren't chasing trends. They're designing a team capable of competing across multiple fronts, not just for one season, but for years to come. Behind the scenes, players have described the environment as more focused than ever. Youngsters are being challenged to rise quickly. Veterans are being pushed to adapt. And the coaching staff is operating with a renewed sense of unity and direction. More than anything, there's a sense that this version of Arsenal is maturing, not just tactically, but emotionally. The heartbreak of last season's near miss in the title race hasn't discouraged the group, it's hardened them. And the arrivals of Gyökeres, Zubimendi, and Mosquera have injected fresh hunger and belief into the dressing room. What's next? As the pre-season winds down and Arsenal gear up for the Community Shield and the Premier League opener, the focus now shifts back to final touches in the transfer market. The club is still working behind the scenes to complete a potential deal for Eberechi, and a few outgoing transfers, including Reiss Nelson, Zinchenko, and possibly Kiwior, are being negotiated. But with 6 signings already through the door and a squad showing signs of sharp tactical evolution, Arsenal look more ready than ever. This pre-season was about more than preparation. It was about laying a foundation for something bigger. And now, with the pieces in place, Arsenal are preparing to take the leap. The feeling around the club is simple. They're not chasing the pack anymore. They're ready to lead it. Arsenal eye Real Madrid star as E's deal hits potential roadblock. With the summer transfer window in full swing, Arsenal are showing no signs of slowing down. 6 new faces have already arrived at the Emirates as Mikel Arteta continues reshaping his squad for another Premier League title push, but the Gunners may not be done just yet. After finishing as runners-up for 3 consecutive seasons, there's a renewed urgency within the club to go one better. Arsenal's business so far reflects that ambition. Victor Gyökeres brings a new dynamic up front. Martin Zubimendi strengthens midfield. Noni Madueke, Christian Mosquera, Christian Nørgaard, and Kepa Arrizabalaga add depth, experience, and tactical flexibility. Several fringe players have moved on to make room. Nuno Tavares joined Lazio, Marquinhos signed for Cruzeiro, and the contracts of Jorginho, Kieran Tierney, and Thomas Partey were all allowed to run their course. Takahiro Tomiyasu's deal was mutually terminated a year early to allow him a fresh start. But with the window still open, there's more movement to come, both in and out. Real Madrid's Brahim Diaz on Arsenal's radar. According to Football España, Brahim Diaz is the latest name linked with a move to North London. The 24-year-old Real Madrid playmaker is reportedly open to a new challenge after being informed by new manager Xabi Alonso that he would likely play a secondary role at the Bernabeu this season. The report claims that Arsenal, AC Milan, and Fenerbahce are all tracking the player, while clubs in Saudi Arabia, including Al Nassr, Al Hilal, and Neom SC, are said to be prepared to offer €40 million, £35 million. For Arsenal, Diaz could represent a versatile creative option. Someone who can play across the front line or deeper in midfield, offering technical quality and composure in tight spaces. With the Gunners potentially adjusting their formation to accommodate Victor Gyökeres' direct style, Diaz could thrive in the pockets behind the striker, where his quick feet and link-up play would shine. Concerns emerge over Eberechi's deal. Meanwhile, Arsenal's pursuit of Crystal Palace star Eberechi Eze may be facing a complication, and it's coming from an unexpected source. According to the Mirror, Liverpool's interest in Marc Guehi, Eze's Palace teammate, could throw a wrench into Arsenal's plans. Palace are reportedly reluctant to sanction the departure of two key players in the same window, especially without ample time to replace them. Arsenal have long been confident in securing Eze, particularly after positive talks with his representatives and the player's own openness to a move. However, the club planned to wait until a few player sales were completed before launching a formal bid, a strategy now potentially jeopardized by Liverpool's move. While Liverpool's priority remains Newcastle striker Alexander Isak, their interest in Guehi is real, and the domino effect could impact Eze's availability. This means Arsenal may need to act faster than planned to get their man, or risk losing out on a player many inside the club view as a final piece to their attacking puzzle. Nergad's emotional reunion, and Premier League backing. One of Arsenal's quieter but highly strategic signings, Christian Nergad, has received glowing praise from someone who knows him better than most, Tottenham boss Thomas Frank. Frank, who coached Nergad at both Brentford and BRNDBY, shared his thoughts after facing his former player for the first time. "It was a bit emotional. I've known him since he was 15, he's 31 now. I've coached him for over 12 years and seen him play more than 300 matches with me. Seeing him in another shirt was a little strange, I won't lie." But Frank didn't stop there. He's a top professional and a top player. "I completely understand why Arsenal brought him in. I'm proud of him. He deserves this big opportunity at this stage of his career." Inside Arsenal, Nergad's early impact has been exactly what was hoped for: mature leadership, quiet authority, and positional intelligence in midfield. He's not here to grab headlines. He's here to elevate the team's floor and bring balance when the stakes are highest. The verdict. Arsenal's transfer window has been methodical but ambitious, and while the club remains in a strong position heading into the final weeks, there's still important work to do. A potential move for Brahim Diaz could add a new layer of creativity and depth. The Eze situation requires urgency and careful negotiation. And Nergad's arrival, while understated, is already proving valuable. Arteta and Berta have a clear vision, and if the final pieces fall into place, Arsenal could head into the new season not just as contenders, but as favourites. Arsenal's calculated patience. But for how long? Internally, there's confidence that Arsenal's transfer approach this summer has struck the right balance between aggression and control. The club has moved swiftly where it made sense, sealing early deals for high-priority targets like Zubimendi and Gyökeres, but it has also exercised patience, especially in more delicate negotiations like the one for Eberechi Eze. That patience, however, may now face a real test. Sources close to the club suggest Arsenal were banking on a clear path to Eze once departures like Reiss Nelson and Zinchenko were confirmed. With interest in both players still ongoing but not yet finalised, there's now pressure building to accelerate the timeline, especially with Liverpool's pursuit of Marc Guehi complicating Palace's willingness to negotiate. Behind the scenes, Arteta remains committed to Eze, who he views as a rare blend of flair, versatility, and intelligence, capable of playing on the wing, as a number 10, or even deeper in midfield. The coaching staff believe Eze's arrival could unlock new tactical shapes, giving Arsenal the ability to switch between a 4-3-3 and a 3-2-5 more fluidly depending on the opponent. Still, they know time is not on their side. Diaz's option adds strategic flexibility. The emergence of Brahim Diaz as a real option adds an intriguing layer to the story. While stylistically different from Eze, Diaz could offer a cost-effective alternative with Champions League pedigree and high-level technical quality. Arsenal are monitoring the situation closely. The Spanish international is reportedly open to the move, and Real Madrid's willingness to sell, combined with a relatively modest price tag, makes him a smart option if the Eze deal collapses or becomes unfeasible. From a financial perspective, Diaz would allow Arsenal to stay within UEFA's FFP guidelines while still adding a creative profile to the squad. The club's recruitment department views him as someone who could thrive in a system built on rotation and tactical fluidity, and who doesn't need to be the centerpiece to have an impact. Berta's blueprint faces its final test. With just weeks remaining in the window, Andrea Berta's transfer strategy is entering its most critical phase. There's a clear feeling around the Emirates that one final marquee signing could elevate the entire squad, turning Arsenal from title hopefuls into title favourites. Eze remains that priority. But Berta and his team are also realistic. If Palace dig in, alternatives like Diaz, or potentially another late-breaking opportunity, may need to be pursued with equal intensity. What's clear is that Arsenal are no longer acting from a place of desperation. Their groundwork was laid early. Their targets were identified with precision. Now it's about execution and timing. Squad dynamics, departures to watch. As Arsenal eye one or two final additions, a handful of exits remain imminent. Reiss Nelson, despite an encouraging pre-season, is likely to leave if a suitable offer arrives. Clubs in Germany and France remain interested. Oleksandr Zinchenko is being monitored by clubs in Italy and Turkey. With Riccardo Calafiori, Jerian Timber, and Miles Lewis-Skelly impressing on the left side, his departure would free up funds and space. Jakub Kiwior is another player to watch. With Mosquera arriving and Gabriel Magalhaes fully fit, minutes could be scarce, and Serie A clubs are circling. Should these deals move quickly, expect Arsenal to reignite formal talks with Palace and press for a breakthrough in the situation. The bigger picture, what this means for the season ahead. As the Premier League kickoff draws closer, Arsenal's pre-season form, combined with tactical tweaks and player integration, is offering reasons for genuine optimism. Gyökeres is adapting quickly, offering Arsenal a new dimension in attack. Zubimendi is slotting seamlessly into midfield, bringing balance and control. Young players like Miles Lewis-Skelly and Max Daumann are making strong cases to remain around the first team. And with just one or two signings left to complete the puzzle, Arsenal fans have every reason to believe that the team they'll see on opening day will be smarter, stronger, and more complete than ever before. This window has never been about just signing names. It's been about fitting the right ones into a system that's ready to win now, not in a few years. And if Andrea Berta can land one more blow in the market, this could be the summer Arsenal fans look back on as the moment everything truly clicked. Arsenal under the spotlight after £15 million deal as Mikel Arteta looks to boost late window activity. With just weeks left in the summer transfer window, Arsenal finds itself under growing pressure to offload fringe players and free up space and funds for potential late reinforcements. While rivals like Liverpool appear to be moving swiftly, reportedly closing in on a £15 million deal with Lyon for midfielder Tyler Morton, the Gunners are still struggling to shift players and face mounting scrutiny over their sales strategy. In 2024, former sporting director Edu Gaspar helped reshape Arsenal's presence in the market, securing close to £90 million through high-profile exits like Emile Smith-Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, and Aaron Ramsdale. Ramsdale, now at Newcastle on loan with a purchase option, could still bring further financial upside to the club thanks to carefully structured clauses. But this summer has told a different story. So far, Arsenal's only completed sales are Marquinhos to Cruzeiro for around £2.6 million, and Nuno Tavares to Lazio via an obligatory buy clause worth roughly £4.3 million, neither of which moved the needle much. Meanwhile, several players remain on the club's surplus list, including Fabio Vieira, Reiss Nelson, Karl Hein, and Albert Sambi Lokonga. There's also speculation around potential exits for Oleksandr Zinchenko and Leandro Trossard. Most of these names are expected to command fees between £10 million and £20 million, yet no meaningful movement has materialized, at least, not yet. Fans have been quick to point out the contrast. Liverpool's Morton, with just 5 senior appearances for the Reds last season after a loan spell at Hull, is likely to fetch more than most of Arsenal's current sale prospects. That comparison only heightens the frustration. Now, all eyes are on Andrea Berta, the club's new sporting director, who has already shown impressive efficiency in identifying quality signings. But his ability to navigate the outbound market, arguably the trickier half of any window, has yet to be tested. It's widely expected that August will be when the real activity begins, especially as buying clubs ramp up last-minute moves and start to panic shop. Adding to the pressure, Arsenal's hopes of making marquee additions, such as Crystal Palace's Eberechi Eze or a new left-winger, largely depend on player sales. Until Berta and his team can unlock those exits, the Gunners remain stuck in limbo, waiting for offers that may only come once the market begins to heat up toward deadline day. For Arsenal, time is running short, and the stakes are only getting higher. Arsenal under the spotlight after £15 million deal as Mikel Arteta looks to boost late window activity. As the final month of the transfer window begins, Arsenal remains under pressure to make decisive moves, especially when it comes to selling players. While rivals such as Liverpool continue to strike smart deals, the Gunners are still struggling to generate substantial income from departures, placing their late window ambitions at risk. Despite having already spent over £200 million this summer on new arrivals, including midfield reinforcements, defensive depth, and attacking options, the club's ability to pursue further targets is now directly tied to generating funds through outgoings. Among their top targets is Eberechi Eze, But with Crystal Palace reportedly demanding over half of his £67.5 million release clause upfront, Arsenal must act fast if they want to bring him in. Complicating matters, Gabriel Jesus, still not at full fitness after serious knee injury, is expected to leave on loan, with the club considering temporary options that help balance wages and give the forward time to rebuild confidence. There is also growing concern within the fan base regarding the pace of departures. Fringe players like Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira, Albert Sambi Lokonga, Nuno Tavares, and Leandro Trossard remain on the books, and while most are valued between £10 million and £20 million, concrete offers have been slow to materialise. This lack of outbound activity threatens to stall further recruitment and could leave Mikel Arteta's squad bloated and unbalanced heading into a demanding season. Behind the scenes, Arsenal's new sporting director Andrea Berta is still working to prove his mettle in the sales department. While he has already earned praise for his precision and decisiveness in acquisitions, his ability to close exits, a crucial skill at a club like Arsenal, has yet to be fully tested. The next few weeks will be decisive not only for the squad's composition, but for Berta's reputation as a leader in a high-pressure market. Tensions have reportedly surfaced between the club's sporting leadership and the coaching staff. Berta's analytical, negotiation-driven approach is said to be reshaping the internal decision-making process, and while Arteta retains a strong voice, some structural shifts have altered the balance of power. This could ultimately benefit the club, if it leads to smarter long-term planning and greater financial discipline. Meanwhile, other top Premier League clubs continue to act decisively, investing heavily in targeted players. Arsenal's hesitation to offload surplus assets could see them fall behind in what promises to be one of the most competitive seasons in recent memory. If Arsenal can successfully move on players like Zinchenko, Kiwior, or Trossard and secure meaningful fees, they may yet have the financial firepower to land a top-tier winger and potentially one more striker. However, without those exits, the Gunners may find themselves locked out of key opportunities once again. For now, Arsenal finds itself at a crossroads, caught between bold ambition and commercial hesitation. The next few weeks will reveal whether this summer becomes a transformative moment or a missed opportunity.